Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. I'm your host, Ashwin. I'm joined by DJ, who is not in his normal setup because I think he's traveling around. I think, DJ, you're on the west coast of Italy at the moment. So I say that mostly to say an apologies in advance to listeners for audio quality. I'm in my normal setup, so hopefully I'm loud and clear for everybody. But DJ, how are you doing, man? Did you have to escape from home in the midst of what was a crushing defeat for Shubman Gill's first test as captain, or I'm getting straight into it?
Yeah, it feels like a long time ago. I'm actually on holiday in Italy. Um, Not much cricket here, other than I spotted some of our friends playing cricket with the tennis ball in the football stadium um, while I was going out to dinner. So that brought back some memories of the test match. No,
Did you try to join him, by the way? Should tell them that you were
I
our
was I
school's
was
Jacques
close to, but I'm
Calles.
here. You look, I'm close to, but like I had the kid and the wife, so. I don't know if I could have just abandoned the pram and disappeared, but the
Man, if you
thought
told
did
them you
cross my
could
mind.
you could open the bowling and bat at three, I think they would have taken you in a
It
heartbeat
was
about three.
impressive because Europe is going through a 40-degree heat wave, which is a just normal temperature in Delhi. Uh, but they played while we were going. I saw them. I came back. It was 3.5 hours later. They were still going. I was like, this is impressive dedication to the craft. Kudos.
Yeah, well done. I
So,
mean,
so to the
listen,
guys in Capri
yeah.
playing tennis, ball, cricket in the field, if you're listening to this, hats off, man.
Yeah, well done. Very exciting. But we're not here to talk about the guys in Capri playing tennis ball cricket, maybe half of it taped with this to get some swing or anything like that. We are here to talk about the ebbs and flows of India's first match at Headingley. And there's a lot to unpack. And I know it's been a little while since it finished, so we're recording this a little bit later than typical, but man, everything from 5 centuries scored by India, only to be the first team to lose a test match in the history of the game after 5 centuries were made, all the way through, some promising elements, a Bumrah fifer, tough bowling from the rest of the crew, Rishabh Pant being two of those 5 centuries, Shubman Gill stepping up in the batting uh, with the bat in his first match as captain, to what felt like a pretty crushing 5 wicket defeat when it looked like up until, I don't know, the last 90 overs or so, it looked like all four results were still possible. So, DJ, I've gone through a lot there, but just talk to me about the feeling of Gill in his first match as skipper, losing in what felt like such a crushing manner.
Yeah, it's tough, particularly since he got a sublime 100 in that first innings. It feels like a really long time ago, that first day where Ben Stokes won the toss and said, "We'll have a bowl." And man, that was I literally just laughed at that when I saw the conditions. You saw the sky being completely like cloudless, and at the end of the day, India were laughing that Jaiswal had got 100, Gill had got a fantastic knock. Like what a knock in your first innings as Test skipper! What a statement to lay down. 359 for three. I mean, it feels like a lifetime away. It's when you're 359 for three on day one of an away Test match. We should have been here recording something quite different, I feel. Now that look, I've chilled out, obviously. I'm on holiday and these memories have kind of washed away and now they've come back. So I'm sorry if I'm digging up some memories for our listeners who've managed to bury some of this as well. But man, that first day, from the emotions of the first day to the emotions of the last day, I think Gil's gone through the entire roller coaster.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go through the whole test match because our listeners are probably tired of reliving it and are ready to talk about what's going to happen in the second test. And I will pivot and talk that a little bit because they go to Edgbaston. But I am going to talk to you a little bit about. Let's start with the 3 centuries, right? So 359 for three. Not only that, Jaiswal looked absolutely brilliant at his kind of most fluid best. Shubman Gill made a century, of course. Rishabh Pant then came out, and Pant had a scratchy start to his day, to put it lightly. And then he found some momentum, hit a brilliant century. I mean, DJ, this was not only, I think, his ninth now. Was it eighth or ninth century in Test cricket? I actually think it's his. Let's see if I can pull it up really quick. It was his eighth century in Test cricket, but he's also been dismissed in the 90s 7 times. Right. So if you think about that, if he had converted even a few of those double-digit centuries in Test cricket, is pretty outstanding. Talk to me about that from a first day lens.
Yeah, I mean, Pant, I think, only got his 100 on the second day, if I'm not wrong.
Fair, yeah. So early on the second,
Yeah.
yeah.
But he's also got the maximum number of hundreds of any keeper in England, including English keepers. So he's gone past Alex Stewart and Matt Pryor, both pretty good batters. He's toured England three times, 2018, 2021,
Yeah.
22, which was split over, and now this time. So those guys have played their entire careers in England. So to actually go past them is extraordinary. And Pant only does what he like. I think I read a Jared Kimber Good Areas article where one day he's been called stupid, stupid, stupid by Gavaskar, and the other day Gavaskar standing in the stands and applauding the hundred that he got. It's just magnificent, right? So yeah.
And then let's just quickly, and then of course we mentioned Jaiswal, just a stunning start to his Test career. Didn't quite have the second innings knock that we needed from him, right? Obviously making just the 4 runs in the second, but century in a game, you'll take that. Let's talk a little bit about two guys who came back into, or one guy who came back into the team, one guy who came into the team, right? So the choice at three, by the way, ended up being Sai Sudarshan, who got out on a duck. The choice at six ended up being Karun Nair. Talk to me about both those guys. Both ended up making 0-4, actually. I mean, you spare a thought for them, right? Like, it's not an easy place for Sai to make his debut, Karun to make his comeback. Sai actually ended up looking better in the second inning. So did Karun a little bit. But how do you feel about those two selections and what they were able to come up with given the chance?
I mean, the selections were not unpredictable. I'm pretty sure most of us predicted that's the way India was going to go. I think Sudarshan was pretty disappointing. The way he got out, the first just nibbling it down the leg side, it was like nothing short. Same, I think he nearly got out the ball before that as well, doing the same thing of Ben Stokes. And I mean, Stokes, word to him, bowled his heart out on day one, took all those wickets. Kind of, I think, trying to make up for an awful decision at the toss. They were comparing it to Nasir Hussain in Brisbane at one point, or Ricky Ponting at Edgbaston, where they got 400 for two on day one. So Stokes really lion-hearted effort, but Sudarshan really disappointing. Karun had his pads on for a long time. I think India were 412 for three or something when that wicket fell and he walked in after 77 test matches. So not only a long wait in terms of test matches that had passed between, but also a long wait of partnership between Gill and Pant. And a cracking catch by Pope. Look, you have to give credit to England where it's due, right? Like hot days, very, very hot days, their intensity didn't really slacken. Like, I can't remember many catches going down, many missed fields. They kept trying in the field, they kept doing stuff. And it eventually paid off with India being skittled out, like those 6 for 29 or 6 for 41
It
or
was
something.
7 for 41 in the
Seven
first
for
innings,
41.
and then 33 or 6 for 31 in the second.
Yeah.
I mean,
And so it was almost chanceless on day one, right? Like there was nothing that you could remember that had gone to hand, like they played a bad shot and missed or whatever. Uh, but they stuck at it. Pope took the brilliant catch for Karun, so he'll feel a bit unlucky. But then rest of them batted like millionaires.
yeah. Okay, let's talk about the collapse really quick, right? And I'm not going to talk separately, but so much of the last 3 to 5 years of Team India's performances, whether you call them success or not, in some instances, have been Ash, Jadeja. You've seen Shardul step up. You've seen Nitish step up in the lower order. It actually feels like a disproportionate amount. And maybe I'm skewed by the recent New Zealand series, England series, etc. But it so much of it feels like the top order failed and the lower order picked up. And it just felt like an immediate flip here. And this felt a little bit of a throwback to the 80s and 90s where your top order would get you runs and then your last six guys would get maybe 40 to 50 and across both innings. Is that fair? How do you feel about that given that we chose to bet till basically eight? And it wasn't just our bowlers, right? Jadeja didn't look great in the first innings. I'm trying to remember what he made. He made 25 out in the second. He was not out in the second. But yeah, what is your take, DJ? Is one test not too much to react to? Should we just take it easy, let these guys have a couple other shots chances, or was this enough of two collapses back to back that you start to change some things?
You don't know what you're fixing for with that lineup, right? This has always been the problem with Shardul. He's mercurial, like he does something crazy in a India A game, scores 122 not out in 34 balls, and then you're like, wow, he's great. Uh, are you fixing the bowling or are you fixing the batting with Shardul? That's the fundamental question you must answer. And then you must answer, is Prasid Krishna the answer to your bowling issues?
Okay, hold on. We will come back to the bowling, but just do you think do you think India batted through eight correctly here? And is listen, do you not hold 9, 10, 11 accountable to bat, or do you look at Bryden Cars who batted nine and added some very valuable runs? You look at Chris Wokes who batted eight and added incredibly valuable runs. I mean, it looked like at one point in the chase, England were going to skittle for like a hundred run deficit, and they got down to six. That was that an important difference between the sides this test?
I don't think it's that they don't want to bat, it's just that they can't. I don't think Siraj and Bumrah and Prasidh are anywhere in the league of those guys. Like Wokes has a test century at Lords against India. Like we're talking, I know Bumrah's got the maximum number of runs in a test over against Stuart Broad, but that was like fluke,
Yeah, freak
obviously.
chances. Yeah,
Right, but like they're not in the same class. They're there to take wickets. The question is like, are they actually doing the job that they're there
yeah,
for? Bumrah apart,
yeah.
we can talk about boom or bust, which I'm sure we'll come to, which we knew, right? This is coming. But Prasidh Krishna can't bat, Siraj can't bat. If Shardul doesn't get you runs, that's a very quick end. That's a very, very quick end. Even Kuldeep can hold a bat.
All right.
Akashdeep saved the follow on once.
Hold the Kuldeep question, hold the Akashdeep question, because we're going to come talk about the second test. Very quickly, then, DJ, 471 on the board. England makes 465. I want to run down this really quickly. Bumrah, 5 for 83 in his 24.4 overs, which is critically important. Because at one point, by the way, I was saying they're making Stokes bowl too much. While this might hurt us in the test match, it'll be better for us in the series. Actually, that has ended up being true for Bumrah. He had to bowl him too much. But Shardul Thakur, 6 overs out of 100, 0 for 38. Prasidh Krishna, 20 overs, 3 for 128, went at over 6 runs and over. His wickets were, he did get Harry Brook, he did get Ollie Pope, the centurion, so critical wickets, but after starting horrendously. And then Mohammad Siraj, 27 overs, 2 for 122. I mean, when you make 471, you do not expect to have a 6 run deficit, right? How poor were the backup bowling options to Bumrah? And yeah, I mean, tell me about that. It just feels like this is where we lost the game.
There's a lot actually to unpack there. Bumrah obviously picked up five, but I think he had four chances dropped off him, three of them by Yashasvi, one
Jaiswal,
by
yeah.
Jadeja. So he could have had like a 10 for almost at one point. So again, boom or bust. He also overstepped at that crucial moment of Harry broke on not by literal millimeters. And I remember punching the air because you love a last over wicket.
We love a last over wicket, that too of Harry Brook for some
Yeah,
reason. I
and
was
in
punching
such an
the air too.
embarrassing fashion, trying to pull Bumrah too quick on him, and just Siraj running backwards, great catch, and then the arm outstretched. And I was just like, oh my God, that's just a nightmare. And he got 99, which I mean had its own fun because obviously he didn't get to 100, which was in front of his home crowd, he would have been disappointed. Um, and then, like the backup bowling was, I have to say this, like I'm no Prasidh Krishna fan in Test cricket. I've never understood why we keep picking him. Apparently, he's hit the deck or some like there's some kind of bowler that's hit the deck. The only kind of bowler that's good is a guy who takes wickets. He's failed in South Africa. He's failed in Australia. He's now failed in England. We are just waiting for him to fail in New Zealand to complete Sena, right? I don't look. He's obviously got talent. He's good for 4 overs for KKR. I can see that. Um, unless he's playing for someone else these days. I'm followed where his IPL career has gone. But
He's GT.
plus, I would rather play an Akashdeep who gives you control, who bowled well in Oz, bowled well in that New Zealand series, has taken wickets, moves the ball a little bit, has control, or an Arshdeep who gives you left arm variety. The obsession with playing, I mean, it's not like Prasid's like Express. Yes, he cranked it up to a 145 once or twice, but he's in the 130s somewhere. So it's not like he's giving you that much extra as well. Doesn't give you anything with the bat. It's just, and the wickets he got were like uh, hopeful short balls, and he bowled so short, and he's got some awful record that he's gone for the maximum number of runs by a bowler ever who's bowled 20 overs in each innings or something awful like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and I know you've been no big fan of Prasidh, so much so that he plays for Gujarat Titans and was not the purple cap winner, but one of them. Um, but yes, I listen. It's not. There's no question to his performance here, DJ. We're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, talk about the second two innings for each team, where India goes from here, and I'm going to push you a little bit on why you're not talking about the other quick bowler. So hang
Who's,
tight. We will be right
yeah,
back. This is the Edges and
Siraj.
Sledges Cricket Podcast. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. As DJ is swatting flies for those of our audio listeners.
Mosquitoes. It's
Kiddo sitting
nighttime.
outside with a lemon tree in your backdrop. Just I thought it was a virtual background first, to be honest. But okay, you talked about Prasidh Krishna. Just quickly to run down the rest of the match, right? England trailed by 6. India comes out to bat again. Rahul makes a magnificent century. Don't want to shortchange him, but no question about how brilliant he was in that game. Pant makes his second century in the match, 118, 364, leaves England 371 to chase, and they come out and do it like it's like it would have been a record breaking chase, and they didn't seem phased for a second. 188 runs added for the first wicket. Then we got a couple quickly, and you keep getting this false hope. Then Harry Brook makes a duck, and you keep getting more and more false hope, but just finished it off with absolutely like no concern for their records or for the history or for the stature of a chase like this. And it, to be honest, didn't seem like it was our game at any point. It should have. It should have when you were defending 371 on the final innings of a test match. It should have. And yet England has done this before. Yet England has done this before at Headingley. And so you just believed they could in the era of Stokes and McCullum. But I want to come back, right? There were two other quick bowlers, DJs. You talk about Bumrah needing to bowl 24 overs, needing to pick up 5 wickets. You've gone on the rant about Prasidh that I fully expected and knew was coming. Mohammad Siraj, he actually looked better in that second innings a little bit. So the recency bias is tainting a little bit of the memory, but he looked completely ineffective in that first innings. Like he had lost his mojo, wasn't running in hard, wasn't getting any swing, wasn't getting anything. Still giving bowlers the stare down. So he had the energy there. And then of course Shardul Thakur. How do you pick a guy at number 8? And as the skipper, Shubman Gill gave him 6 overs. He didn't get his first over with the ball till incredibly late. So what do you think is happening there? Was he picked by Gambhir and Gill didn't believe in him? Was there some sort of an injury they weren't telling us about? Was there something else? But I mean, man, if you're Shardul, you've had a pretty nice time traveling to England with the squad. I think you batted about 20 balls in the total test, didn't add anything with the bat. You bowled 16 overs across the course of 5 days. I mean, that's a pretty good life, right?
Yeah, and you were in the field not looking very athletic either. So, look, the Shardul Thakur question will continue to perplex Indian cricket fans. Whether to love him or hate him, I think we have both views on this show, right? Like from time to time, he does something crazy, and you're like, what a guy. And then suddenly he does something rubbish, and you're like, why do we have him? Um, he again lost his wicket in the first innings, flicking the ball outside of stump before lunch or tea or before a break where unnecessary shot completely. And to bowl 6 overs, I mean, that's pointless. Like you could have played Nitish Kumar Reddy, right? Like he could have bowled you 6 overs for 38 runs, I'm pretty sure on that track, who's actually got a test 100 as an actual proper batter. So that's fine. And then Siraj, I don't think he was as bad as maybe his figures paint, to be honest. I think he had a lot of same stuff that went past the bat initially,
I think
and
that
then he
was the
got taken
second
apart
innings,
by
though. I
by
don't
Brook.
know if that. I don't know. I don't feel like it. At least maybe this is my
Brook
memory.
just took him apart after he started like talking to him and stuff. Brook just said, "I've had enough of this. This is going," and he just like played him like a spinner. The other thing we should talk about, Ashwin, is Jadeja, right? He got a
Incredibly,
bit of spin.
incredibly ineffective, though. He got spin. There
Yeah,
was a
but
rough
but
patch where
he's
there
a
was a.
defensive option. He's a purely defensive option. If you think he's one of your top 7 batters in the country, right? Would you rather play a pure batter and Kuldeep instead of him?
Okay, so we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back. Let's do it now.
But
Let's talk about
but
where we
yeah,
where does India go from here going into
so
Edgbaston. I think
Jadeja
Kuldeep's
started
market
replaying.
value. Yeah, sorry. I
Yeah,
think
he,
Kuldeep's
he
market value has shot up by not getting selected. I think we are all saying Kuldeep will be our savior. I think there were points when Shoaib Bashir was managing to land the ball in that rough and seeing holy moly, this
Hey,
ball is turning a lot.
Jadeja was
Jadeja
responding.
did not, but Jadeja didn't bowl it there consistently. You know when there's a rough patch, even though it was pretty far outside the off stump for the lefties, he didn't bowl there consistently. And so, DJ, let's just take that as a thought to say Edgbaston next, 3 tests after that. This was a pretty long gap. There's not as long of a gap between the second and third test. There's another little long gap between the fourth. Where does Team India go from here?
But we're not playing.
Bumrah has bowled a full spell in the nets on Saturday, right before recording this, but didn't bowl at all on Friday. So there's already rumors swirling about whether he'll bowl or not. So let's go through quickly where you go from here if you are
Bumrah
Gautam.
didn't even bowl with the new ball in the test match. He said, I've had enough of this rubbish. In the
I
second
mean,
new ball, 22 runs to get. Bumrah is like, please, bro, I'm done.
if
I
you
can't do
are
anymore.
Jasprit Bumrah, your shoulders are awful tired, man. It's what we used to say about Sachin in the
Yeah,
90s, like just tired from
literally
carrying
carrying
the
the team.
rest of the team.
No, but it's
Bumrah's
a
there.
lack of
Yeah,
intensity as well,
yeah,
right? I
yeah.
mean, think about it. Like, we dropped the maximum number of catches a team has ever dropped in England. And the one guy that's changed here is Virat Kohli.
Yeah,
Imagine a
yeah.
performance like that by the lower order and the catching cordon
There's no way.
while
There's no way.
Kohli and
Things would have
Rohit
been.
were in the team.
He would have taken his shoe off and thrown it at the guys and
No,
like
but
and
it's like it's
better.
that garden mein ghumne wale ladke
Yep.
comment, right?
Yep.
Like that Rohit had made. Even Rohit in his way was actually a leader. Like Gill has to grow into that. I read a very
And I
interesting
don't.
article by Sid Monga saying he needs to bring fear into this team. I don't think so. But he needs to make sure the intensity does not drop over 5 days because one day of good test cricket, 2 days doesn't win you tests, right? That's why Kohli, when he won the IPL, said Test cricket is 5 levels above this. Even in a moment like that, something that he's been trying for 18 years says, this is the IPL, it's in its own place. Test cricket is 5 levels above this. Now you understand why, right? Now, coming back to the question, I think Kuldeep has to play because the last series that we played in India, also, we lost the first test match, but everything changed once we brought Kuldeep in. Because Harry Brooks smacking everybody around, Ollie Pope got 100 as well again. He seems to like batting. Smacking everybody around. All that changed with the wrist spinner, right? All of that changes with the wrist spinner count. He flights the ball. When they go for it, he might give him a catch. So, and we need to seriously think whether we go back to the old formula of having four premier bowlers that will win you a test. Three quicks and one spinner, but an attacking spinner, not a defensive holding spinner like Jadeja. Because Jadeja, if you remember, came back into the Indian Test squad in 2018 in the last Test match. India had already lost the series. Jadeja came back to bat, got 87 in the Oval Test match. We lost that Test match also. But he re-established himself as a Test cricketer in that series. He was not a fixture in the side before he was not the number one all-rounder in the side before that series. So whether you need him to be that number one, do you need an all-rounder? Or do you just go down the specialist route again with Rishabh Pant being the greatest all-rounder you can ever ask for? The guy's got 200s and keeps wicket. Why do you
Yeah.
need that all? Why
Mhm.
are we obsessed with playing that all-rounder? Or play one less batter and play five full bowlers? I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is, but the bowlers that you play have to take wickets because
Okay, so
otherwise they're
let's talk
pointless.
that quickly. Well, I don't know if we're going to change Jadeja. I do think he's earned a couple of tests at 7, even if he's even. And by the way, I agree. I think he could be the second spinner versus being the first. But then who are those 3 out and out quicks that can get you wickets, right? Bumrah is of course one of them. Just to run through the options, right? Obviously, you had Siraj and Prasidh who got the nod this first test. You do have Harshit, you do have Arshdeep, and you do have Akashdeep. There's a lot of it's very easy to look back at a tough test match and say, "Oh, we should have picked a lefty. Oh, we should have picked Akashi." And but but there is merit to saying a lefty would have given you a new option when you couldn't seem to break through to the England batters. Akash has got some real chops as a bowler. He's got good chops as a batter as well. I mean, there is merit to picking both those guys. I'm not the biggest fan of Harshit, so I'm not putting him in that same consideration set. But what is your thought on this? Or do you at least stick to a Siraj who has been India's call it first third pick after Bumrah and Shami for quite a while now, and just work with Siraj on telling him how he's going to step it up as a lead bowler?
So we assume that Bumrah is not playing the next test match, right?
I'm not assuming that actually from the
Okay,
fact
so
that he
I
bowled.
think we need to assume that because I suspect
Okay,
he'll want to play Lords because he'll want to get his name on the honours board.
man, if
I don't
Bumrah
know.
doesn't play the next test, this series is going to be very. I mean, yeah, you had to win the match that he was playing, and so
Yeah,
it's
we
already
did.
going to be very.
We did. So I think Siraj will continue to play. For me, Akash Deep, for me actually, Arshdeep is probably the front runner because he also plays a lot of um, limited over white ball T20 stuff. So when a Harry Broke or like an Ollie Pope or someone is going for you, he probably has the calmness to stay in control of his emotions and say, how do I get this out? How do I get him? He's a thinking bowler, right? Like it's the greatest credit you can actually give to anybody. The question for me is with Arshdeep, does he have the physicality to get through a full test match? Akashdeep is a very good test bowler. We've seen him in I think South Africa take wickets. He was good. So if Bumrah doesn't play, I think Prasidh probably not for me in the next test match. He needs to go and work in the nets, not in the test. uh, I think Arshdeep, Akashdeep, Siraj is not a bad lineup for me. It's inexperienced, yes, but so was the English um, lineup, right? They had four test matches, I think, some of them. So it's
Yeah,
fine. And Kuldeep then comes in as the spinner instead of Shardul.
let me just quickly ask you then. Arshdeep, Akashdeep, and Siraj is your lineup. If Bumrah does play, counterintuitively, is Siraj the guy that misses out?
It
Right?
might be because he'll need to play the game that Bumrah doesn't play because he's
And
the
by the way,
experienced leader of the
my
attack.
my takeaway from this first test is Siraj has been and remains India's top pick for the number three seamer. He just has not figured out
Correct.
how to move into number two or let
Yeah.
alone number one spot. He has had moments. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be selective with my memory. He has led this attack at times. He has had moments, but has he consistently figured out how to be number two seamer, let alone number one? I don't think so.
Yeah. Agreed. And our problem, Ashwin, I think, is we are playing four bowlers even when we think we're playing five. Because Jadeja and Shardul are half a bowler, right? And
Bits
Jadeja
and
and Shardul.
pieces. Did you just
But
call them
but
both
that's what
bits
it
and
is.
pieces?
Jadeja and Shardul in
Yeah.
these conditions are half a bowler, and that we are still only playing four bowlers. So why are you doing that to yourself? So and I think Kuldeep should come in instead of Shardul. If the conditions are going to be the same, you do need a point of difference. If your top order is firing like it is, just let them press on, get double hundreds instead of 150s. That's it.
Yeah.
Easy game.
India's test run this far in the last, call it 8, 9 years, has been on the back of our ability to take 20 wickets. Not the batters. Not the batters. Let's be transparent. It just felt like we didn't have the ability to take 20. It is a long series. We got a long time to go. It is difficult to watch this defeat, but it's a long series. We still have some world class players. Let's not forget Rahul Gill, Jaswal Pant, and how brilliant they looked. I mean, that gives me some hope. DJ, thank you for joining me on vacation in Italy, especially to talk through what was a little bit of a tough reliving. I had kind of moved on from this test. I'm excited for the next one. I'm excited for Wimbledon to start tomorrow. There's a lot of good things happening, but we had to do it. Um, let's hope by the time we come back, we're talking about 1-1 and not 2-0. But the Edgbaston test starts Wednesday, July 2nd. So we'll be back next week with a wrap up of the Edgbaston test. Follow us on Twitter, X, whatever it's called, Instagram, Facebook, at One Tip One Hand. Leave us a comment if you're on YouTube. We'll be back next week to talk about Team India's fortunes and hopefully, not a 0-4 or 0-5 test series. Hopefully, something a little bit better than that. This is the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. Thank you for joining.